Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that is a little bit more academically dense, I guess you could say. It sort of interweaves attachment styles with narcissists. So we want to discuss what sort of attachment style narcissists fall under. And for those who aren't familiar with attachment theory, there's a lot of different resources on the internet, even here on YouTube, lots of videos, articles, everything, information about the 4 different attachment styles and how they relate to each other and what makes them tick and their common behaviors and all that sort of stuff. But I guess for the purposes of this video, I'll just assume that most people have a basic understanding of those 4 attachment styles and just attachment theory in general. So, having said that, have you ever noticed why some people just can't seem to connect on a real emotional level? Why, no matter how much love, effort, or patience you give, it kind of feels like hitting a brick wall? So, I want to dive into the psychology of narcissists today and why they don't bond the way the rest of us do. So, just a quick spoiler alert. It's not just avoidant or disorganized attachment. It's something much deeper. So I'd urge you to stick around to the end of the video because understanding this could completely change how you navigate relationships with narcissists. Okay, so let's start with something you've probably heard before. Narcissists are often described as having either disorganized or avoidant attachment styles. So just a basic summary of those 2 attachment styles. Disorganized attachment is a combination of both avoidant and anxious attachment styles. So it's sort of, I guess you could characterize it in layman's terms as kind of like, come here, go away sort of dynamic that plays out. An avoidant attachment style is pretty self-explanatory, I guess. It's, somebody who tends to withdraw around strong emotions, doesn't like conflict. That's, walking away is sort of spending time alone, having space is their main way of self-regulating and dealing with difficulties that come up in the relationship. So you can sort of see on the surface that it makes sense that people would, think that narcissists fall into either of those 2 attachment styles because they can be emotionally distant, they can be self-centered, they can struggle to form close connection. But here's the twist. Some experts, like American counselor and psychotherapist Peter Salerno, challenge this assumption. He suggests that narcissists don't actually fit into any traditional attachment style. And that's because they fundamentally don't attach to others in the same way that I guess everybody else does. In fact, he suggests that narcissists lack an attachment style entirely. And that changes everything. Because when you realize someone isn't just avoidant, but might actually be incapable of genuine attachment, your approach to the relationship and your own expectations kind of needs to shift. So just to revisit attachment styles again, a quick crash course if you will. Psychologists generally talk about 4 primary attachment styles: secure, avoidant, anxious, and disorganized. So secure attachment, these are people who had caregivers, mum, dad, or whoever raised them, who were responsive and consistent. They learnt it's safe to rely on others, which makes forming healthy adult relationships easier. So I guess that's the benchmark that we're all kind of striving for. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, avoidant attachment is often where people have had caregivers who were distant, dismissive, and, if you're growing up with parents like that, you learn to suppress your emotional needs And, adults with the avoidant attachment style often struggle with closeness. So, anxious attachment. Caregivers were inconsistent, sometimes loving, sometimes not. This creates sort of a hypervigilance in kids, an anxiousness, and in adults, it can look like insecurity and fear of abandonment. Now, disorganised attachment, as I mentioned before, usually stems from trauma. People with this attachment style are pulled in both directions. They're wanting connection and closeness, but they fear it deeply at the same time because their past experiences have shown them that close connection leads to pain, punishment, disappointment, all those really challenging things. So I guess you could say disorganized attachment is probably the most tricky of the 4 attachment styles. And understandably so, because, often, as I said, people with this attachment style have experienced some very deep challenges, some traumatic things in their childhood and in their life. So it makes a lot of sense. So in general, attachment shapes how we bond, how we love, and how we trust. But when it comes to narcissists, they don't fit into any of these boxes. So what makes narcissists so different? It's their interaction with others, and that's often entirely instrumental. Narcissists don't value people for who they are. They value them for what they provide, which is usually what they're seeking: admiration, control, status. Even an avoidantly attached person essentially wants connection at the end of the day. They just struggle with closeness. But narcissists, their relationships aren't about emotional intimacy at all. It's about control and utility. This explains why they seem charming one moment and cold the next, why they manipulate, gaslight, or emotionally detach. They aren't avoiding attachment. They may simply not have the capacity for it, at least in the way most human beings experience connection. So now you might be thinking, okay, so that's cool, but what does this matter to me? And the reason it matters is because understanding this distinction can save you so much emotional energy. When you realize someone isn't hard to reach, they just might be fundamentally incapable of genuine attachment, you stop blaming yourself, you stop trying to fix them, and you start protecting yourself. And this isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about clarity. It's about understanding the relational landscape that you're navigating and knowing how to respond in a wise manner. So, if you're dealing with a narcissist, whether in romance, family, or at work, here's how you can protect yourself. Number 1, and this is this is nothing new. This is not rocket science. It's all over the internet in all the narcissist videos that people are putting out. But I think that as many voices that are saying this as possible is important to really get the message across. It's hard lessons that I've had to learn, and I guess this is what this is all about at the end of the day, is being able to assist as many people as possible to deal with and protect themselves from this very difficult personality style, because it can have real consequences if you don't do that. So, number 1, set clear boundaries, because narcissists can often push limits to test control. So you need to have a really good understanding of what your non-negotiables are and communicate them. Number 2, don't expect emotional reciprocity. Accept that they may never provide genuine empathy or support. Adjust your expectations to prevent ongoing disappointment. Number 3, prioritize self-care. Focus on your mental, physical, and emotional health. Therapy, journaling, meditation, or support groups are all excellent tools. Seek support from trusted people. This is number 4. Family, friends, mentors, those who validate your experience and give perspective. Number 5, limit engagement in manipulation or drama. Practice detachment techniques. Don't feed the cycle of blame or control. Number 6, consider professional guidance. But make sure that you choose a counsellor experienced with NPD who can provide clarity, strategies, and support for more intense relationships. By adopting these strategies, you shift your focus from trying to change the narcissist to protecting and nurturing yourself. And trust me, it can make a huge difference. So, to wrap up, narcissists don't bond the way we do. They may not even have an attachment style at all, and that changes everything about how we interact with them. Understanding this gives you clarity, reduces self-blame, and empowers you to protect your emotional well-being. If you've ever felt frustrated, confused, or drained by someone you just couldn't connect with, now you have a framework for understanding why that might be. And more importantly, you have tools to navigate it safely. If this video helped you understand narcissists a little better, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into human psychology, relationships, and spirituality. And I want to hear from you. Have you experienced a relationship with someone who couldn't or wouldn't bond the way you do? Make sure you drop your experiences in the comments below, and let's start a conversation